a moment and visualize what I'm about to tell you. You're going to create a space for your best friend. So you walk into this experience center. There are multiple counters in this experience center, and you pick up things and put it aside for your best friend. So first you reach a beverage counter, multiple beverages, you pick one up, then you go to the book section, pick a book for your best friend, to the seating section, pick something that they can sit on, and then you move to the space where they're going to sit, and these spaces are color themed. So you pick something that's best for your friend, and you set it up. Now, while you're setting it up, you suddenly realize that something has shifted in this experience center. Someone has walked in, and everybody is so happy to meet them. Open your eyes, please. Show of hands. The beverage, how many of you picked tea? How many of you picked coffee? Oh, thank you. How many of you picked a soft drink? All right, the mixer, I would imagine. In the book section, how many of you picked a rom-com? Adventure? Mystery? Manga? Okay. How many of you picked a cushion for them to sit on, a floor cushion? A sofa? A chair? Now, you see what happened here? I just gave you a bunch of instructions, but to each one of you, that experience was different. And that is the power of radio. Radio is an audio-visual medium. I give you the audio, you create the visuals, because it is the theater of the mind. When I joined radio, I was 25 years old. This was in 2001. I'm waiting because I can furiously hear you trying to compute my age. So I'll give you a moment to do the math. You've done it? Okay, great. At that time, the CEO of the company told me, Jimmy, I need 4 years of your life. 3 years, you learn from the company. 1 year, you give back. I worked with them for 16 years. I flirted with a few other radio companies, had a little affair here and there. But this was always home for me. And one of the things that was drilled into my head right at the beginning was, Jimmy, you got to be a cartoon. Like, let me explain. If you look at any of the popular characters across pop culture, you'll realize that they have a defining character. So for example, Shin-chan is 5 years old, loves chocolate biscuits. And if you're in the age group saying, Shin-chan who? Popeye the Sailor Man loves spinach. And in the more popular space, the Avengers, Iron Man is your tech wizard. So I was told, find a trait. So that when someone says RJ Jimmy, the other person will say, oh, the guy who loves biryani. That guy. The guy who always has a smile in his voice. The RJ with the blue glasses. The guy who thinks baths are overrated and takes a bath maybe once or twice a week. That would be me. So find your defining trait. Why did I get drawn to radio? I guess because it was very similar to theater. Okay, it was an entertainment medium, and I love the applause. I'm shameless about it. I love the applause. You're a very kind audience. Thank you very much. I love people walking up to me saying, hey, Jimmy, thank you so much, man. Because of you, my drive to work was a little better. That performance was amazing. You really moved me. Which are suggestions, by the way, of things that you can come and tell me after my talk is done today. But if I did this only for the applause, then I have what is called a taker's mindset, where I design everything only for the applause, and you, the most important people in the room, don't get anything out of it. When I approach this with a giver's mindset, the focus is on what value am I delivering. I design everything around that and hopefully make it accessible and entertaining. And the applause is a byproduct of that. So, tuning into your personality, one of the things that you should focus on is to work with a giver's mindset. Now, when I started radio, where did we get our content from? Very few places, actually. So there were TV channels, newspapers, magazines, some websites at that point. But even then, we were told, always add a layer of yourself on top of the content. So add Jimmy to your content. At that point, brain rot hadn't set in yet, which, by the way, is the Oxford English Dictionary of the year 2024. And with the information glut that is there today, it's even more important to have that point of view. So let me explain with an example of the biryani. I'm the biryani guy. I love biryani. And for me, only mutton biryani qualifies as biryani. Even chicken doesn't, because chicken is a bird, and who puts birds in a biryani? Don't get me started on veg, that's just pulao. Let me give you another example. 4 years ago, there was a minister that said, cows inhale and exhale oxygen. So I was like, okay, I gave that piece of content out. And then I said, what I'd like to do is send this guy deep sea diving with a cow as his oxygen cylinder. Then we'll see whether cows actually exhale oxygen. What I've done is I've added a layer of Jimmy to the content. You will react in two ways. You'll go, haha, that's funny, or you'll say, man, that's terrible. But you will also say, only Jimmy could have come up with that. So, add value and find your unique voice. Two other things to tune into your personality. So, people who know me would say that Jimmy's the kind of guy, nothing really ever gets him down. And that's true. I somehow managed to be able to look at the positive side of most things. And this is a knack that I developed when I was very young. A question that I'd asked myself was, will you remember this incident 5 years from now? Very often the answer is no. So I drop it and move along. I stay away from sensationalized news, negative news. But I know a bunch of people who are hooked onto that kind of content. And that's because the brain is hardwired for that kind of content. It's more important and more useful for me to know where the danger is than where the happiness is. Because if there's a lion lurking behind that apple tree, when I go to collect food, I might become food. And that's not a particularly happy outcome for myself. So I'm tuned to look for danger. I had to train my brain to stay away from that. And I was very focused. When I went on air, I know that Bangaloreans are battling traffic in the morning, poor infrastructure. I want to put a smile on your face. I want to distract you from that traffic. So I will choose content that will allow me to give you that smile. And I can say with conviction that because of me, road rage reduced considerably on the streets of Bangalore. I should have gotten my Nobel Peace Prize already. It's not happened yet, I'm still waiting. So, what I did was be positive, which is my blood group also. And that's my authentic core, being positive. So find your authentic core and stay with it. In my quest is too big a word, in my endeavor to deliver compelling content to my listeners, I read far and wide and deep. I consumed all sorts of content. And the amazing thing was that because of this, I learned something new every day. I learned about vending machines that vended short stories instead of coffee. I learned about dark oxygen, oxygen that's produced at the bottom of the ocean floor where there's no sunlight and there's no plants, no photosynthesis is happening. I learned about the darkest man-made material that absorbs almost all light, Vanta Black. The cool thing about this is that when you're in a conversation with someone, you can just casually drop it and they'll be like, oh my God, he's so cool. He knows these really cool things. So for example, there is no such thing as a vegetable. A vegetable is a very convenient culinary term. They are actually either leaves or barks of tree or roots or seeds. There is no such thing as a vegetable. So be curious. Learn something new every day. Learn something new in the long term. And when you learn something new, clock it, register it. Because it will change the way you think about yourself and the way you think about the world. In my 23 years in radio, I wore many hats, and one of my favorite hats was to lead and mentor the creative teams. And before I took on my first assignment, which is the programming head of a radio station, I said, I have to read, I have to learn, because all this while I've not learned, I've not managed people, I've not led people. So I read many books. And one of the books that stuck with me was, first, break all the rules. You can see why that would appeal to me. Until then, I thought that I would be this fair leader and treat everybody equally. And that book said, no, you've got to treat everybody differently. Because everybody, every member has diverse needs, different strengths, different personalities. So you need to tailor the way you lead so that each one of them is comfortable. And I did that. So I'd spend time with them, spend time with each one of them, talk about their families, things that were happening with them. Because in my head, I said, if they fall in love with me, they will be invested in me. And when I ask them to do work, they will do it in their best capacity because they're invested in me. And it worked like a charm. But you have to do multiple things. And one of the biggest things that you have to do is to earn their trust. It's like Velcro, okay? These small little connection points that they come together, and when they connect, that join becomes really strong. So you earn their trust. They know, every member in my team knew that I had their back. If they screwed up, I would destroy them internally. But to the rest of the world, I would protect them, I would have their back. And they knew that. And that worked brilliantly. So be trustworthy, earn people's trust. And once you've earned it, guard it with your life. Because one misstep, and it's gone. The other thing that I thought was very important to tuning into your personality is brand. Many people ask me, Jimmy, why don't radio stations play music from all languages, da? So I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a radio station that plays music from all languages. And then there is a radio station that plays English, another one that plays Hindi, another one that plays Kannada. If you want to listen to Kannada music, you're going to go to the radio station that plays Kannada all the time because you don't know when the radio station that's playing all language music is going to play the Kannada song. It's very clear. Be a brand/product. And this was drilled into me very early on in my radio career as well. Because when you open a bottle of beer, you expect beer to come out of it. If suddenly mango juice came out, yeah, you wouldn't be too happy about it. So be a brand. Especially in the digital economy. Don't try and be everything for everybody. Find a niche. Find your brand. Grow that niche. Because that's when advertisers will come to you. They'll say, oh, this is the kind of people this person talks to, and I want to reach out to them. So be true to your brand. And what ties all of this together is empathy. Be kind. Share love, share joy, leave things and people just a little better than how you found them. Be the best version of yourself. Present the best version of yourself. Now you say, Jimmy, am I actually being genuine if I present a version of myself? The fact of the matter is you're presenting different versions of yourself all the time. I interact with my mother differently. I interact with my wife differently. I interact with my daughter differently, with my dog differently, with my friends, and within the friends, I interact with each one of them differently. I'm presenting different versions of myself all the time. So find the best version of yourself and present that to people. Present that in every scenario. I put a little acronym just to put this all together. It's called B, CAT, Gov. That's BECATGUV. B for brand, E for empathy. C for be curious. A for your authentic core. T to be trustworthy. G is the giver mindset. U is unique. And V is value. So next time when I tell you the story about the experience center and this person who walked in and changed the place and everybody lit up, I want you to imagine you. Thank you.